The starship Aurora descended slowly through the violet clouds of Vealoria, a planet unlike any Aran Cole had ever seen. The atmosphere shimmered with soft light, and enormous crystal towers reached toward the sky like frozen lightning. This was the home of the Veilorians, a proud and ancient alien race, famous throughout the galaxy for their strength, honor, and discipline. Aaron, a human explorer and diplomat, gazed out of the ship's observation deck, trying to take it all in. Earth had sent him here on a mission of peace. He had trained for years, learning Veilorian customs from books and holo-recordings, but nothing could prepare him for the reality of standing on their planet. The Aurora landed on a massive platform that hovered above the royal city. Elegant bridges connected floating buildings, and the streets below bustled with Veilorian citizens. Their skin had a soft, luminous sheen, and their eyes reflected intelligence and curiosity. Despite their alien appearance, Aaron could sense the similarity between them and humans, the same desire for honor, the same pride in family and legacy. A crowd had already gathered at the palace gates. Princess Lyra would appear soon. She was the youngest ruler in Veiloria's long history, but her reputation was vast. The stories said she had the wisdom of someone far older, the strategic mind of a seasoned general, and the courage to defend her people at any cost. As Aaron stepped off the ship, the air seemed to hum with anticipation. The crowd parted to let him pass, murmuring among themselves. His heart beat faster. This was more than a diplomatic mission now. It felt like stepping onto a stage where one wrong move could change the future of two worlds. When the palace doors opened, a hush fell over the crowd. Princess Lyra emerged, standing on a high balcony. She was striking, not just because of her beauty, but because of the aura of authority she carried. Her long silver hair fell over her shoulders, catching the soft violet light. Her skin had a gentle, natural glow, soft and flawless. But her eyes, emerald green and sharp, were what made her unforgettable. They seemed to look right through Aaron, reading his thoughts, judging his spirit. She raised one hand, and the murmurs stopped. "Welcome, human," she said. Her voice was melodic but firm, carrying across the plaza like a command. "I am Princess Lyra of Veilloria. I have heard of your journey and the courage of your people. Yet courage alone is not enough to earn respect here." Aaron bowed politely. "Princess Lyra, I come in peace. I wish for understanding between our worlds, for friendship, not conflict." The princess's lips curved into a small smile. "Words are easy for humans," she said. "Actions, that is what matters." She paused, letting her words sink into the crowd. "I offer you a challenge. If you can defeat my champion in combat, I will honor your people and welcome them as allies. Fail, and humans will leave Veilloria forever." The crowd gasped. Whispers ran like wildfire. The Veilorian champion was a living legend. He had trained since birth in combat and strategy. Defeating him was considered impossible, even for the strongest Veilorian. Aaron's stomach tightened, but he refused to show fear. He had faced many challenges on Earth. But this was different. He was a human, in a world where physical strength often mattered more than wit or courage. Yet he had something that no Veilorian had ever faced, a mind that could adapt quickly, creativity born of survival, and determination that could not be broken. "I accept your challenge," Aaron said. His voice was calm but steady. "I will face your champion, Princess Lyra." Lyra's smile widened slightly, though her eyes remained unreadable. "Very well," she said. "Your courage will be tested. The contest will take place at dawn in the Crystal Arena. Prepare yourself, human. You will have only 3 days to train and understand the ways of Veilorian combat." Aaron nodded. Though 3 days seemed short, he knew he would have to rely on strategy, not strength alone. He would study everything: Sirac, the champion's habits, the arena itself, and even the reaction of the crowd. Humans had a way of turning limitations into opportunities, and he intended to do just that. As he walked toward the training grounds, he noticed Princess Lyra watching him closely from above. There was curiosity in her gaze, perhaps even amusement. Humans were strange creatures to her people. They were not the fastest nor the strongest, yet they survived and thrived where others failed. What made them so confident? The training grounds were enormous, made of translucent crystal that reflected the violet sky. Valorian warriors moved gracefully, performing drills with swords and energy staffs. Aaron observed silently, taking in every movement. A figure approached him, Serac, the princess's champion. He was massive, taller than any human Aaron had ever seen, with muscles coiled like springs. His skin had a subtle metallic tint, and his piercing golden eyes gave the impression of someone who could see every flaw in an opponent instantly. Serac bowed slightly to the human. "Human," Serac said. His voice was deep, steady, without malice. "I am Serac, champion of Valoria. You will face me soon. Know this. I fight with honor. I will not underestimate you, but I do not hold back." Aaron nodded. "I will do the same." For 3 days, Aaron trained as best he could. He practiced with the energy staff, learned Valorian footwork, and studied Serac's movements through observation. Despite the physical gap, Aaron's mind worked faster, noticing patterns that even Serac rarely used. He practiced agility drills, thinking not just about attack, but defense and anticipation. During these days, Princess Lyra often observed from afar. She saw something unexpected, a human who did not panic, who did not bow to fear, but instead studied, learned, and adapted. Her respect for him grew, though she did not show it openly. She wondered if humans truly possessed a strength that Valorians did not, resilience born of courage and heart. Finally, the day of the contest arrived. The crystal arena gleamed in the morning light, massive and awe-inspiring. The crowd, thousands strong, filled the seats, their anticipation nearly tangible. Valorian nobles, military leaders, and citizens all watched silently, waiting for the impossible to happen. Aaron stepped onto the arena floor, feeling the vibrations of the crystal beneath his feet. His hands clenched around the energy staff. Across from him, Serac appeared, moving with fluid confidence. He nodded once, acknowledging Aaron as a worthy opponent. Princess Lyra descended to the viewing balcony closest to the arena. She looked at Aaron with sharp green eyes, assessing him one last time. The silence was deafening. "Begin," she commanded. Serac moved first, charging with immense speed. Aaron barely dodged, feeling the rush of air as the champion's strike passed by. He noticed a rhythm. Serac's movements were precise, predictable if studied carefully. Using his human advantage, Aaron dodged, pivoted, and looked for an opening. The first clash was brief, but intense. Sparks flew as energy staffs collided, the crystal floor trembling beneath their movements. Aaron realized he could not match Serac's raw strength. He had to rely on his mind, not just his body. As the fight continued, Aaron began anticipating Serac's attacks, using the arena's layout to his advantage. He darted between crystal pillars, forced Serac to overextend, and avoided direct confrontation. The crowd started murmuring, impressed by the human's bravery and cleverness. From her balcony, Princess Lyra's expression softened. She had expected a foolish human who would break quickly, but Aaron was different. He fought with honor, courage, and intelligence. Perhaps, she thought, humans were more than what her people believed. The day ended with no victor, only a tense pause before the final clash. Aaron retreated to his corner, exhausted but focused. Serac returned to his side, sweat on his brow, eyes glowing with intensity. Both knew the decisive moment would come soon. Princess Lyra rose from her seat. She had seen enough to be intrigued. This human might just be capable of something extraordinary, something that could change the destiny of both their worlds. And as the sun dipped toward the horizon, the crowd waited, hearts pounding. The challenge had begun, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The morning sun bathed the crystal arena in a soft violet light, sending reflections across the translucent floor. The city of Valoria, with its soaring towers and floating bridges, seemed alive beneath the rising sun. The day of the decisive contest had arrived. Aaron Cole, the human, stood quietly at the edge of the arena. His heart pounded, but his mind remained clear. He had trained for 3 days under harsh scrutiny, learning every detail he could about his opponent, Serac, the princess's champion. Serac had spent his life mastering combat. Every movement was precise, every strike a deadly calculation. Humans rarely survived even a single match against him. But Aaron had one advantage that Serac could not predict: ingenuity. He was a human, and humans had a way of turning weakness into opportunity. Princess Lyra watched from her balcony, her green eyes sharp and curious. She had observed Aaron's training with quiet attention. She had seen him dodge attacks, study Serac's patterns, and adapt faster than anyone expected. Something about his determination intrigued her. Most humans, she knew, would crumble under the pressure, yet Aaron seemed to rise to it. The arena doors opened, and the crowd held its breath. Serac stepped in first, his golden eyes scanning the floor with focus. His towering figure and muscular frame cast a long shadow across the crystal floor. The hum of the audience grew as they sensed the beginning of a legendary contest. Aaron followed. He moved lightly, almost cautiously, holding his energy staff in a loose but ready grip. He did not have Serac's size, nor his raw strength, but he had speed, wit, and a mind that worked faster than muscle alone. Princess Lyra's voice rang out across the arena. "Begin!" Serac moved like a lightning bolt, his staff striking toward Aaron in a blur. The human barely dodged, the air rushing past his face as the champion's weapon slammed into the crystal floor, leaving sparks. Every movement Serac made was powerful, calculated, and precise. It would have been impossible for a normal human to survive even one exchange. But Aaron had studied every possible angle. He jumped back, rolled sideways, and let the momentum carry him out of Serac's line. He didn't counter immediately. Instead, he observed, waiting for an opening. In that moment, he realized that Serac favored direct strikes and often overextended his attacks when confident. The crowd watched in tense silence as the duel continued. Each strike from Serac was like a test, a question Aaron had to answer. And each time, Aaron responded, not with brute force, but with cleverness. He moved unpredictably, dodging and weaving, using the crystal pillars and raised platforms to his advantage. "Impressive," a Valorian elder whispered to a neighbor. "The human does not fear. He studies, adapts. He survives." Hours of training and preparation had come down to these moments. Aaron realized he could not hope to overpower Serac. Instead, he relied on observation and timing. He noticed the smallest clues, the subtle shift in Serac's weight before a strike, the way he favored his left side when attacking aggressively, the slight hesitation before a finishing move. These details would guide Aaron's strategy. Meanwhile, Princess Lyra's curiosity deepened. She had expected a foolish human, a weak opponent to humiliate her champion. But Aaron was neither foolish nor weak. There was something about him that went beyond strength: courage, intelligence, and determination. It made her question everything she had assumed about humans. As the duel progressed, Aaron used the arena itself as part of his strategy. He lured Serac toward a series of crystal pillars that reflected light in confusing patterns. For a brief moment, Serac's vision was distracted by the dazzling reflections. Aaron struck, not to harm, but to force Serac off balance, testing the champion's reaction to unfamiliar tactics. Serac adjusted quickly, but Aaron had already noted his adaptability. This was not a man who could be defeated easily, but he also had patterns that could be exploited. Aaron's strategy was simple: survive, observe, and wait for the precise moment to act. Hours passed. The crowd grew restless and excited. Every move was calculated. Every strike met with an equally calculated dodge. Sweat ran down both fighters' faces. The air was tense, filled with anticipation. No one had seen a human withstand Serac's strength this long. During a brief pause, Aaron took a deep breath. He remembered the words of an old Earth mentor: "Strength without patience is wasted. Observation is the path to victory." He looked at Serac, noting the slight fatigue in the champion's posture, the way his swings were just a fraction slower than at the start. Princess Lyra leaned forward, intrigued. She could see the spark of genius in Aaron's eyes. The human was not just surviving, he was learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every exchange. Serac charged again, faster than before. Aaron dodged, rolled, and jumped toward a raised platform. Serac's staff struck the ground, sending vibrations through the crystal floor. The impact almost knocked Aaron off balance, but he held firm. He had learned to use momentum, turning Serac's strength against him. "Your determination is remarkable, human," Serac said, breathing heavily. "Few would last this long." Aaron nodded, never lowering his guard. "I have to, more than my own life. I fight for trust, for friendship between our worlds." Serac's expression softened slightly. He had not expected the human to fight with purpose, not merely for pride or survival, but for something larger. That, perhaps, was why Aaron had lasted so long. The fight continued, escalating in intensity. Aaron dodged, feinted, and forced Serac to overcommit. Each time Serac overextended, Aaron used the opportunity to move strategically, avoiding damage while observing weaknesses. The crowd, initially skeptical of the human, began to cheer quietly for him. They saw not a weak opponent, but a fighter with courage and intelligence. By midday, sweat drenched both fighters. Aaron's arms ached, his legs trembled, but he had found a rhythm. He realized that direct confrontation was futile. Victory lay in patience, timing, and exploiting the champion's single moments of hesitation. Princess Lyra watched, her green eyes narrowed thoughtfully. She had set this challenge to test humans, to prove her people's superiority. Yet the human before her was proving something entirely different, that courage, intelligence, and heart could rival strength and skill. She felt a mixture of surprise, admiration, and a growing respect for Aaron. The final phase of the duel approached. Serac, sensing the human's understanding, increased his speed and power. Aaron countered with agility and wit. The fight became a dance, swift movements, precise strikes, and clever counters. Every moment tested the limits of human and Valorian skill alike. Aaron noticed a subtle change in Serac's stance during one attack. His left foot shifted slightly too far forward, creating a small gap in his defense. This was the opening Aaron had been waiting for. He focused, took a deep breath, and prepared to act. The human's mind worked faster than ever, combining every observation, every lesson from the last 3 days. He feinted, drawing Serac into an overextended strike. Then, using a swift motion, he maneuvered behind the champion, placing his staff in a position that forced Serac off balance. The crowd gasped. It was a clever move, not brute force, but precise timing and strategy. Serac staggered, momentarily vulnerable. Aaron did not strike to injure, only to demonstrate control. He pressed just enough to test the champion's reaction, forcing him to acknowledge the human's skill. The arena fell silent. Even Princess Lyra leaned forward, her curiosity and surprise evident. The human had done something extraordinary. He had created an opening against the legendary champion. Serac straightened, smiling faintly, a gesture of respect. "You are clever, human," he said. "I underestimated you." Aaron nodded, exhausted but alert. "And I respect your skill, champion. Every movement taught me something new." Princess Lyra's expression softened. She had expected an easy victory for her champion. Yet Aaron had survived, adapted, and even challenged Serac's dominance. Her respect for the human grew, along with a curiosity she could not ignore. The first stage of the duel was complete, but both knew this was only the beginning. The human had survived the impossible and proved that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could rival raw strength. As the sun reached its zenith, Aaron took a moment to rest. Water dripping from his brow, muscles tense and aching. He knew that the next phase would demand even more, not just physical skill, but mental clarity, quick thinking, and the strength to endure. Princess Lyra watched silently from above, a small smile touching her lips. The human had impressed her, challenged her assumptions, and earned a place in her consideration. The final outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. Aaron Cole was no ordinary human. The contest had begun. The battle of strength, wit, and courage would continue tomorrow, and the fate of two worlds hung in the balance. The next morning, the crystal arena was alive with anticipation. Thousands of Vaelorians filled the stands, their eyes fixed on the combatants below. The sunlight reflected off the translucent floor, creating shimmering patterns that danced like fire across the arena. Princess Lyra leaned on the balcony railing, her green eyes sharp and focused. She had watched Aaron survive the first stage of the duel, and now curiosity and admiration battled with doubt in her mind. Could a human truly match the skill of Vaeloria's champion? Aaron stood at one end of the arena, his muscles still sore from yesterday's contest. Sweat clung to his skin, but his mind was clear. Every moment of observation, every movement of Serac, every reflection of the arena itself had been stored in his memory. Today, he would use it. Today, strategy would triumph over sheer strength. Serac entered the arena with calm confidence. His golden eyes scanned the floor, noting the human's posture, his grip on the energy staff, and the faint signs of fatigue. Serac had trained for years, every move honed to perfection. He knew the human was clever, but could cleverness truly overcome a lifetime of skill and power? "Begin!" Princess Lyra commanded, her voice echoing across the arena. Serac moved first, faster than lightning. Aaron barely dodged, the energy staff grazing his shoulder as he rolled backward. The human's legs carried him like a dancer, weaving between the shimmering pillars and reflecting surfaces of the arena. Every step, every feint, every roll was carefully calculated. He did not try to overpower Serac. He had learned that strength alone would never win this fight. The two clashed again and again, a blur of motion and sparks. The audience was silent, watching the spectacle unfold. Serac's strikes were precise, each one meant to end the fight immediately. But Aaron anticipated, sidestepped, and countered when necessary. He turned the arena itself into an ally, forcing Serac to navigate around pillars, reflections, and uneven surfaces. Every misstep by the champion created a small advantage for the human. Aaron remembered what his Earth mentor had once said. In battle, the mind is the greatest weapon. Strength can fail, but wisdom can find a path to victory. He studied Serac's every move, noting patterns in timing and stance. The smallest detail, a hesitation, a shift in weight, a predictable swing, was precious information. Minutes passed like hours. Sweat poured from both combatants. Aaron's arms burned from wielding the staff. His legs trembled, but he pushed on. Every time Serac struck, Aaron moved with careful precision, conserving energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Princess Lyra watched with growing intrigue. She had believed humans to be fragile, clever, but ultimately weak. Yet this human, this Aaron, was different. He was neither reckless nor afraid. His courage and intelligence shone through every movement, and she found herself drawn to his determination. Serac roared, a deep, resonant sound that shook the crystal floor. He struck again, faster and stronger than before. Aaron dodged, narrowly avoiding the blow, but noticed something new, a slight delay in the champion's swing, a fatigue that even the strongest warriors could not hide. The human pressed the advantage, using quick, calculated strikes to test Serac's defense. He did not aim to hurt the champion, only to push him into positions that revealed weaknesses. The audience gasped with every close call, witnessing a contest unlike any they had seen. A human enduring a Valorian champion's strength was unheard of. Aaron ducked under a powerful swing and vaulted toward a crystal pillar. Using the pillar as leverage, he launched a spinning strike that Serac barely blocked. The impact echoed across the arena. Aaron's movements were fluid, combining agility with strategy. He was not the strongest, but his mind had become a weapon, turning every weakness into an opportunity. Serac stepped back, a flicker of surprise in his golden eyes. He had underestimated the human's intelligence and adaptability. Every attack was met with thought, not fear, and every counter demonstrated patience and focus. Serac realized that brute force alone would not win this contest. He had to adapt as well. Princess Lyra's heart raced. She had intended this challenge to prove human inferiority, yet the human before her was proving the opposite. His determination, patience, and cleverness rivaled the strength and skill of the greatest Valorian warriors. A smile touched her lips, a rare expression of genuine admiration. The duel escalated further. Aaron feinted, dodged, and moved unpredictably. Serac's strikes grew faster, more forceful, but Aaron anticipated, learned, and adapted. Each attack from Serac created an opening, and each opening brought the human closer to victory, not by overpowering, but by outsmarting. Then the moment arrived. Serac, confident in his speed and strength, launched a strike that overextended his balance. Aaron had seen this pattern before, studied it, and waited. With precise timing, he maneuvered behind Serac, using the energy staff not to injure, but to force the champion to his knees. The arena fell silent. The impossible had happened. The human had found an opening against Valoria's champion. Serac looked up at Aaron, a mixture of respect and surprise in his golden eyes. "You have learned well, human," he said. "I underestimated you. Few could have seen this coming." Aaron nodded, his chest heaving, muscles trembling. "And I have learned from you, Serac. Every move taught me something." Princess Lyra rose from her seat, her green eyes wide with amazement. The human had done what she thought impossible. He had survived, adapted, and even challenged the legendary champion with courage, intelligence, and heart. She had expected arrogance or recklessness. Instead, she found respect, determination, and honor. The crowd erupted into cheers, amazed by the human's performance. They had witnessed not just a fight, but a display of ingenuity, courage, and the power of the human spirit. Even the Valorian elders, who had doubted the human from the start, acknowledged his bravery and skill. Serac rose slowly, acknowledging the human with a nod of honor. "You have proven yourself, Aaron Cole, not through strength alone, but through courage and wisdom. You are worthy of respect, and your people are worthy allies." Princess Lyra descended from her balcony, her expression softening. She approached the arena floor, her steps measured and elegant. She looked at Aaron, her green eyes filled with admiration. "I challenged you to test your strength," she said. "I expected to see failure, yet you have shown me something far greater, the strength of heart and mind. You are no ordinary human. Aaron, you are extraordinary." Aaron bowed respectfully. Thank you, Princess. I fight not for pride, but for friendship between our worlds. I hope this duel can be the beginning of trust and understanding." Lyra smiled, a warm and genuine expression that seemed to light the arena. "Perhaps it can," she said. "Today, you have proven that courage, intelligence, and honor can rival strength. Today, you have changed my view of humanity." Serac, now fully recovered, stepped aside, allowing the human and princess to speak privately. Though his pride had been tested, he felt respect and admiration for Aaron. Few could survive his training, let alone a duel in the arena. The human had endured, adapted, and triumphed, not by strength, but by heart. Aaron wiped the sweat from his brow, exhausted but fulfilled. The fight had tested every limit, pushed him beyond what he thought possible, and shown him the value of patience, observation, and courage. He had faced the impossible and survived, earning not just respect, but the possibility of friendship and alliance. Princess Lyra regarded him thoughtfully. She had set this challenge to test humans, to demonstrate her people's superiority. Yet, in the human before her, she had seen qualities that Valorians admired, but rarely expected from another species: resilience, honor, ingenuity, and unwavering courage. The crowd erupted once more, cheering not just for the spectacle, but for the human who had dared to challenge a legend and survived. Aaron's actions had inspired awe, respect, and a sense of possibility that reached beyond the arena. And so, the duel ended, not with destruction, but with recognition. The human had shown that strength alone was not the measure of worth. Courage, intelligence, and honor could change perceptions, break barriers, and unite worlds. Princess Lyra extended her hand toward Aaron. "You have proven yourself human," she said softly. "Not only in skill, but in spirit. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new bond between our worlds." Aaron took her hand, feeling the weight of history and possibility in the simple gesture. He had faced the impossible, survived, and earned the trust of one of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. But more than that, he had shown that humanity could rise to challenges that seemed beyond reach, and perhaps inspire change across the stars. As the sun set over the crystal towers of Valoria, the arena quieted, and the crowd slowly dispersed. The human and the Valorian princess stood together, a symbol of courage, respect, and hope for the future. The duel had ended, but the journey of friendship, alliance, and understanding was only beginning. The morning after the duel dawned bright and calm over Valoria. The city, with its crystal towers and floating bridges, seemed to shimmer with possibility. The events of the previous day had rippled through the kingdom like a wave. Every citizen, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, spoke of the human who had faced the Valorian champion and survived. Not only that, but Aaron Cole had shown courage, intelligence, and honor that rivaled the greatest warriors of their planet. Princess Lyra walked through the royal gardens, her mind occupied with thoughts of the human who had changed her perception of another species. The delicate fragrance of violet blossoms filled the air, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She had challenged Aaron to test humans, to demonstrate their limits. Yet the human before her had surpassed every expectation. He had not relied on strength alone, but on patience, strategy, and an unwavering heart. The palace doors opened, and Aaron stepped into the gardens. His movements were careful, yet confident. Though the duel had tested him beyond what he had imagined, he carried himself with calm assurance. Sweat still dampened his brow, but his eyes were clear, reflecting the intelligence and courage that had impressed the princess. "Good morning, Princess Lyra," Aaron said, bowing politely. "I hope you slept well." Lyra smiled softly, a warmth in her expression that few had ever seen. "I did, thank you," she said. and I have thought much about yesterday. You have proven not only your skill but your character, Aaron. That is rare, even among my people." Aaron nodded. "I fought not for pride, but to earn trust, to show that humans can stand as allies and friends, not just strangers from a distant world." The princess's eyes reflected admiration and curiosity. "You have done more than that," she said. "You have shown me that strength is not only measured by power. Courage, intelligence, and heart are just as important. Your people have qualities that I had underestimated, and for that, I am grateful." For a moment, silence passed between them. The garden seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for the bond between these two beings, so different yet connected by respect, to solidify. Aaron spoke again. "I hope this duel can be the start of a lasting friendship between our worlds. There is much we can learn from each other, Princess Lyra. Together, humans and Valorians can explore, grow, and protect the galaxy in ways neither of our peoples could alone." Lyra's smile deepened. "Perhaps you are right. Yesterday you faced my champion and survived, but more importantly, you faced my skepticism and earned my respect. That is the true victory, Aaron." At that moment, Serac approached, his golden eyes calm and reflective. The champion had watched the human closely, testing not only strength but character. He now recognized Aaron as a warrior, a strategist, and a person of honor. "You have done well, human," Serac said. "Few could have endured what you did. Even fewer could have gained my respect." Aaron nodded respectfully. "Thank you." "Serac, I have learned from you as well. Your skill and discipline are extraordinary." Serac inclined his head. "Strength is valuable, but so is wisdom. You have both. That is rare." Princess Lyra stepped between them, her expression thoughtful. "Serac has proven himself as my champion. Aaron has proven himself as a human worthy of trust. Today we recognize each other not as rivals, but as equals. Perhaps it is time for our peoples to do the same." Aaron felt a surge of hope. The dream he had carried for years, a future where humans and Valorians could stand together, was now within reach. He looked at Princess Lyra and Serac, seeing not only leaders and warriors, but beings capable of understanding and cooperation. The princess led Aaron and Serac to a council chamber overlooking the city. The chamber was filled with Valorian leaders, nobles and advisors, each watching with curiosity and respect. Princess Lyra raised her hand, signaling them to attention. "Yesterday, a human faced our champion in the arena," she began. "I challenged him to test the limits of his people, expecting to see failure, yet Aaron Cole has surpassed every expectation. He has shown courage, intelligence, and honor that even my people admire. For this, I recognize him as a friend and an ally." The council members murmured among themselves, surprise and admiration in their voices. Few had ever seen the human demonstrate such skill and character. Aaron stepped forward. "I thank you, Princess Lyra, and your council, for this recognition. I fought not only for myself, but for my people, and for the hope of friendship between our worlds. I wish to learn from you, to share knowledge, and to build a bond that strengthens both humans and Valorians." The council nodded, impressed by the humility and determination in his words. Even the elders, who had doubted the human at first, acknowledged his sincerity. Princess Lyra turned to the council. "Let this day mark the beginning of a new alliance. Humans and Valorians will share knowledge, culture, and exploration. Together we can face challenges no single species could overcome alone." The council erupted in approval, voices raised in excitement. The citizens of Valoria who had witnessed the duel celebrated as well. Aaron's courage had not only survived the impossible duel, but had inspired a vision of unity and hope. In the days that followed, Aaron and Princess Lyra worked closely to strengthen this new bond. Humans were invited to share their knowledge of technology, medicine, and science. Valorians offered wisdom in strategy, energy manipulation, and the history of the galaxy. Both species learned from each other, discovering that cooperation and mutual respect could achieve far more than rivalry and suspicion. Aaron spent time in the training grounds, learning more about Valorian combat techniques and sharing human approaches to strategy and creativity. Serac became both a mentor and friend, guiding Aaron while learning from his unconventional methods. Together, they practiced, taught, and grew stronger, not as enemies, but as allies. Princess Lyra observed these interactions with quiet satisfaction. The human had exceeded every expectation. He had demonstrated that courage and intelligence could rival strength and skill, and in doing so, he had earned not only her respect, but her trust. A bond had formed not through force, but through understanding and honor. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold, Aaron and Princess Lyra walked along a terrace overlooking the city. The crystal towers glimmered in the fading light, reflecting hope and possibility. "You have changed my view of humans," Lyra said softly. "I challenged you to test your limits, but in doing so you showed me that your people possess qualities I had not imagined. Courage, intelligence, and honor are not limited to Valorians." Aaron smiled humbly. "And you have shown me that even the strongest warriors can be compassionate, wise, and fair. I have learned much from this experience, Princess. Not only about your people, but about the value of patience, respect, and trust." They stood in silence, watching the city glow beneath the twilight sky. A sense of hope and possibility filled the air. The duel had ended, but the story of friendship, alliance, and mutual understanding was only beginning. Princess Lyra finally spoke, her voice carrying a gentle warmth. "Perhaps this is the start of something greater, not just between us, but between our worlds, humans and Valorians together, stronger, wiser, and united." Aaron nodded. "Yes, Princess, together, we can achieve more than any of us could alone." From that day forward, humans and Valorians worked side by side. Trade and knowledge flourished. Cultural exchanges enriched both societies. Explorers from Earth and Valoria ventured into the galaxy together, learning, discovering, and protecting the stars. And through it all, Aaron and Princess Lyra remained symbols of courage, honor, and the power of friendship. The duel in the Crystal Arena had not only proven human potential, but had opened the door to a future where two worlds could stand together, equal, respected, and united. The story of the human who dared to face a Valorian champion spread across the galaxy, inspiring other worlds to reconsider what it meant to be strong. Courage, intelligence, and heart were celebrated as much as physical power. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not by conquest, but by honor, ingenuity, and the bravery to face the impossible. As the stars rose over Valoria, glittering like scattered gems across the night sky, Aaron and Lyra looked toward the horizon. The future was uncertain, but it was full of promise. They had proven that strength came in many forms, and that even the most unlikely of allies could change the fate of the galaxy. The human and the alien princess had not just survived a challenge, they had forged a new path for their worlds, a path of courage, respect, and unity. And the galaxy would never be the same again.